morning, good morning. I wanted to talk to you guys about something today that I was thinking about the other day and realized it's not that impressive, so I wanted to get your impressions. The thing I'm talking about is what vehicles, and by vehicles I mean motorcycles, two wheels, have I owned and or ridden. And sadly, it's a pretty damn short list. I'll start at the beginning, which rapidly closes at the end, and then I'll talk about a few things in between. So, the first thing I owned, the first motorcycle I owned was when I was 14 years old. I was at that age where I just couldn't live without a two-wheeled vehicle anymore. I was just like, young and stupid and like, nope, have to have it. Absolutely cannot live any longer without a two-wheeled vehicle. A lot of my friends had them, some dirt bikes they all rode, so that's where I wanted to go. But of course, I was 14 and my mom didn't approve, so my parents didn't approve, so they wouldn't, mainly my mom, my dad rode too, but they didn't approve of me riding motorcycles, so they wouldn't pay for it. So I saved up for years and years, and when I was 14, I finally had enough for like the cheapest, crappiest bike I could buy, which at the time happened to be a 1973 Kawasaki KE175. That's a 175. It's an enduro off-road, on-road, off-road type. It had for about a week turn signals and a brake light, and then I let a friend of mine ride it, and he popped a wheelie and tipped it backwards and broke the tail light off less than a week after I got it, and I was pissed. Bastard. Anyway, so that was a sweet bike, and that was my first bike that I learned to ride on and really started riding. And then after that, the list stays really damn short, because I did a lot of riding of motorcycles here and there, specifically through college. Of course, when I was in high school, all around I rode friends' bikes, and we went on trips, and we traded and whatever, and that Kawasaki I had was friggin' bulletproof. It would pretty much ride through anything. You could beat the hell out of it, and it didn't care. I took it in like snow and in water, and the block was all like smelled bad and was steaming, and I just kept riding it, and it just kept on working. It was a beast. So I never got an appreciation for, I guess that thing was so bulletproof that any other bike I rode, I guess I didn't expect it to, I expected it to perform like that first bike I had. So anyway, that wasn't important to the story. The bikes I rode, I rode a little bit of everything, a whole lot of dirt bikes, a couple street bikes, some trials type bike riding, which was really cool for a while there. I had a friend who had a bike and no one rode it, so I rode it, and I loved it. That was freaking sweet. So anyway, let's go into college where, in high school I rode a lot of different stuff, but it wasn't like mine, and it was like riding a friend's bike one time. That doesn't really count. Because in college the bikes weren't mine either, I just rode them for longer than one time. So I had this friend, everyone knew I had ridden bikes when I was younger, but I never happened to have a bike. So I had some friends, and one of my friends he was at that age, which was a little bit later than I was at that age, and he was at that age, he just couldn't live anymore without a bike. So he bought a Ninja 250. And he rode it for a while, but he didn't really know how to ride it. So he and I, got out, and I gave him some pointers, and we did some riding, and I showed him some stuff. No big deal. So as soon as he bought that 250, it wasn't fast enough for him. This is a guy who likes speed. So he bought a Katana 600 because it was also in his price range, but a lot more powerful. And now he didn't sell the 250 to buy it. Now he had a 250 and a Katana 600, which luckily he loaned to me. He said, shit, dude, let's go ride. You take the 250. So he basically loaned it to me full time for a couple of months. And so I picked up my permit real easy and, went and rode with him. And rode for a while on that 250, which was really nice. I love the Ninja 250. That's a really good bike. Not super fast, but super fun. So I rode that 250 for a while, and then, really not that long, 2 months maybe, another friend of mine was also at that age where he couldn't live anymore without a bike. So he bought the 250 from the other friend, and he rode it. So now I was bikeless again, and during this time we had like fired up my dirt bike, and I was showing them how to ride it. I taught a couple of friends how to ride it and stuff like that, and we just had like motorcycle days, dirt bike, street bike, whatever. So couple months after that friend bought the 250, he was riding it, and he decided it wasn't enough power for him. So he upgraded to a Honda Nighthawk. It was a late 80s Nighthawk 650, or maybe it was a 750. Anyway, so now he had 2 bikes, and again it went back to, hey, I've got these 2 bikes, why don't you ride this 250? But I did once or twice, but that only lasted like a couple of weeks. He sold it shortly after that to pay for the other one. And then another month or 2 down the line, he decided that Nighthawk wasn't enough power, and he bought a VFR 800. Now keep in mind, like with the Katana and this VFR, I was riding them a little bit, but mainly I was riding the second hand, you know, the lower one, the earlier one, the 250 and or the Nighthawk. So after he bought that VFR, he said, hey, why don't you take the Nighthawk and we'll all go ride? Now, you know, we had one guy on the VFR 800, one guy on the Katana 600, and then there was me on the, you know, late 80s 750. So now we were cruising around, and that lasted for another couple of months until he sold that. So it was like a, you know, spotty couple months here, couple months there. Didn't own any of it, but had fun on it all. So anyway, that runs me up to the end of college, where after riding those bikes, I was like, that's it, I'm buying a bike. And as soon as I graduated and I had enough money to buy one, which took a little while after graduation, but it happened eventually, I was shopping around, I wanted to buy the right thing, and I saw, basically, you know, you had that bike like when you were a kid, and it was like your computer background, and you were like, that is the sexiest machine I've ever seen in my life. Well, for me, that was a Kawasaki Ninja. This Kawasaki Ninja, actually. The 2003 ZX6RR. And I had a picture of this, the green one and everything, like on my computer background as a kid, you know, when I was like wanting a bike, when I was in that age where I couldn't live without anything except a motorcycle. And this was the one I had in the picture. So basically, the point of the story is, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I think that's the one. And I wanted to buy the right one. I didn't know if this was the right one or not. So I went and looked at it, and I was like, yep, that's the right one. And then he was like, why don't you test drive it? I was like, all I have is a permit. And he said, no, dude, just keep it, you know, don't go too fast, keep it on the side roads, you'll be fine, no cops ever come over here. It's like this kind of dealership in the middle of nowhere. So I took it for a test drive, and that was it. I was buying it. Hands down. Looking at it, I was like, man, this is the one, but it's expensive, I think it's overpriced, whatever. Took it for a test drive, I was like, yeah, that's it, I'm buying it. Ride it up. Just like that. That was all it took. Hopped on these 2 wheels, and that was that. Dunzo, he had me. Good salesman, I guess. He just said, no, test drive it, just take it for a test drive. And that was that. So anyway, that runs you through my bikes. Of course, if you've been watching my channel, you've even seen me ride some other stuff. R6 and a couple other things actually that I don't think I've posted or filmed. So, you know, I've ridden a couple different bikes, obviously the 250s, the 600s. I've been on 1,000 once or twice. Not too much. But, yeah, that's my short-ass list of bikes I've actually owned was 2 Kawasaki's. So, surprise, surprise. I know, whenever I find out what people have ridden, I think it's more than that. Those 2 friends who haven't been riding nearly as long as me have already owned more bikes than me. So anyway, that's that. That's what I've owned, that's what I've ridden. Let me know what you've ridden, because I'm always curious to see that, you know. Have you, like, had one baby that you love like me? Or 2, I guess? Or have you ridden a lot? I wonder these things. So, let me know. I'd like to see. Oh, you drive so slow! Oh my god, he drives so slow. I can't even drive this slow. It's like weird. Alright, I'm out. All this slow ass bullshit, riding slow stuff.